Hey, yo, it's me, Pops Fan Marmalade, and you're watching the Comics-Related Madness Network. Uh-huh. So come get some. CromCon. CromCon.
Hey, we want to shout out to our sponsors, Daytona Beach Comic Con. If you are a fan of comic books, if you're a fan of comic book conventions, and if you like meeting comic book creators and getting comics and comic-related stuff, then you need to make your plans to attend Daytona Beach Comic Con. This year's show is September 9th and 10th. Silverline will be there, so you should make your plans to be there too. We'll see you there. If you like comics and find yourself in the Orlando, Florida area, doesn't everyone come to Orlando at some point in time to see the House of Mouse? But when you're here, you need to make it a point to visit Coliseum of Comics, especially the one on East Colonial Drive. They carry Silverline comics, even a limited edition Coliseum of Comics version of our comics. So, when you go, be sure to ask for Silverline Comics and tell them we sent you. OCD stands for Orlando Collector Deviants. OCD, Steve and Trish, they're a family of geeks who promote geek things, particularly those around the Orlando, Florida area. They're big supporters of Silverline, and we think you should be supporters of theirs too. Go give them some love. If you are an independent comic book maker and you need to get your independent comics made, you need to look no further than Kablam Digital Printing. They print our books, and they do a bang-up job. They're not only trusted by Silverline, but many independent comic book makers. Head on over to kablam.com and see for yourself just how easy it is to have your comic printed by them. And tell them Silverline sent you.
Hi, this is Tim TK, host of That Silverline Show on Tuesday. Join us at 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific every Tuesday night as we discuss pop culture and the joys of making comics.
Hi, I'm Barb Kelber, co-host of Silverline's Wednesday Wham. Join us each Wednesday night as we discuss comics, literature, movies, and anything else that may catch our attention.
I'm Roland Mann, and I host Silverline's Silver Sunday. Join me every Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern as we make mine Silverline.
Hello, internets. Welcome to That Silverline Show on Tuesday. I'm your host, Tim TK, and I'm joined, as always, by Jose Fuentes.
Hello.
And David Rios.
How you doing?
And tonight we'll be talking about how to find community when you're working in comics and the benefits thereof, why you should do it, things like that. But before we get into all of that, as always, let's figure out what's been inspiring us this week. Jose, what have you been reading, watching, or playing?
I've been watching Cold Case.
Nice.
Right. It's not. It's pretty cool. It's about cold cases and getting solved and stuff like that. I actually kind of started watching it because of the soundtrack. It plays a lot of older songs that I like. So I'm an old kind of guy.
Okay.
And then reading. I don't know what I've been reading. Still audiobooking The Adversary, the Forgotten Realms book, but other than that, not much of anything. I've been busy. Kids are back to school. That occupies most of my time.
Okay.
So yeah, I think that's it, pretty much.
Sounds good. David, how about yourself?
Let's see. Haven't really been watching too much TV. I started rewatching the Invasion series for the Marvel.
Okay.
Just been cycling through. I just finished up Ahsoka again, so I wasn't really picking up anything new. Just kind of, mostly when I'm, eating dinner, it's just something to have on in the background. Reading wise, I've been reading a lot of the Krakoa stuff still. Got a long ways to go on that. but it's kind of interesting, some of the stuff and how I've been doing a lot of that digital, and I know that some of the licensing and things, I'll see some reference to some books and I can't find them on, Marvel Unlimited or whatever. And it's because, maybe it's because characters in one of the books that's not licensed or with another company type thing, and there's no digital version and all that. So I just kind of play around and read what I can and as much as I can and just see what's there. No gaming or anything. Haven't had time to do that. Mostly work.
Okay, that's fair. I'm also reading through some of the Greco era stuff. Catch up on some of the older side series that I didn't get a chance to read through, like Corsairs and all that. Or Marauders, not Corsairs. But yeah, I definitely appreciate the amount of time they took to kind of allow previous side characters or C Team mutants to have a time in the spotlight for different parts of Greco, which I appreciate. They made Black Tom Cassidy cool again, which I was super into.
I'm just kind of enjoying some of the stories with Ilyana Rasputin.
Yeah,
she was a little firecracker.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of cool. But I've always been a Colossus fan more than anything, and she plays well with his wheelhouse. So
yes, yeah. So I love the idea of parts of the Quiet Council where you'd have moments where the voices of reason at moments are Apocalypse or Exodus.
Yeah, and Sinister going off on Stark raving mad.
Yeah, I love it. Aside of that, I have been again playing Final Fantasy XIV Dawn Trail, getting caught up on the storyline because I haven't played the story for the new expansion too much. And it took a little bit of time away, just deal with family stuff, and then spent time leveling up the new jobs, and now I'm finally back in the story. And it's awesome.
Yeah, I missed it. I enjoyed it. It's kind of weird for me because I was in a different time zone.
Right.
Gaming, being on the West Coast is probably one of the worst time zones because you get a lot of people started, on the East Coast and Central Time, and then a lot of people I used to play with were in the UK, so they would be going home, or going to sleep and all that. It'd still be 2-3 in the morning, but yeah, it was, you if you come home and kind of jump on right as close to 5 as possible, you may get an hour or two before people start dropping off, and then a few hours later, it's you're by yourself.
Yeah.
So that got kind of old. I mean, I was doing a lot of the daily missions and just anything I could to do that. And then when I was playing 11, it was a lot of those pages and stuff to get whatever experience I could to level up. So there's a lot of solo stuff. So it just got kind of old after a while.
Yeah, I think it was just a Stormblood era patch they did, but they opened up the matchmaking on Duty Finder. Mm-hmm. So now it's not just your server, but it's all the servers on your data center.
Nice.
And so you can, so I have it set so I'll join Japanese groups, English groups, German or French, whatever. So it's kind of kind of looking news, and you'll start playing at the start of when you get off work on the West Coast, and you'll get all these East groups, and they go to bed, and then you get your time zone, and then it's half California and the half Japan.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't have when I was playing. It wasn't really opened up, and a lot of the Japanese would be playing on the Japanese-only servers. So,
Yeah.
In the Asian time zones, that would be wouldn't get a lot of exposure to that. So, again, it was either it was most of the North America or the UK players that would be there, and then
Yeah.
kind of drop off. So,
Okay. Watching wise, oddly enough, kind of similar to Jose. Started rewatching My Name Is Earl.
Nice.
It's old school television, yeah. So that's what we've been doing. I'm surprised how well it holds up.
Right?
Yeah.
I agree with that. Crabman's the best.
Crafting's so good. And hello, Rory, in the chat. Okay, so we're going to be talking about the finding community, the benefits of doing so, how you do it, and kind of from that point on, how do you continue to build and give back to community? So first, I'll just kind of grab, I guess, experiences from Jose and David. Do you guys have any personal anecdotes or experiences? Either I'll grab one of each: feeling isolated as a comic creator, then also one of when you find community, or like a positive experience you had with community.
I
I
say, go ahead.
I think you hit both of Jose and my weak points on this. This is not really our strong point.
Let me tell
Mine.
you, when I first started like doing art, and I wasn't doing it, not just doing art, but like trying to break into like comics and whatnot. I went to several like forums, right, to get some advice. Some people were cool about it, some people were not, and for the most part, I don't want to. In my experience, right? I should preface with my experience. For the most part, it did not help me at all. I liked posting my art because I like getting critiqued. That's probably the best bet I got out of it. Was some people were really cool about like critiquing your work. Some people were just really mean. And as I said before, during when we talked about showing your work to people, you get to learn to build a tough skin. I'm probably gonna say that's probably the best thing I learned from that. But I was part of several, like not just like I don't think I can name names. There's a website with a spider, and there's other websites like art hosting sites. Like I got people to interact on that. That was pretty cool. But yeah, I think one of the first comic work I did, like I actually wrote like a 6-page story for like just this like story like being about it like at the back of a train kind of deal, and it was what I mean. People liked it.
Yeah.
Didn't do anything with it. Didn't move any further with it. But it's if you have a tough skin, those communities are going to be okay for you because you're going to be able to take what you present, and you're going to be able to take the criticism and critique well. Because people, like I said, people can be real nasty, or people can be really helpful, and it just depends on the type of person that you get to see your post or see what you post up, your art and stuff like that. But as a whole, for me, didn't really do a whole heap because to me, they were very much into just themselves and not trying to grow as a community. Um, Honestly, until school, like once I started going to art school, you know what I mean? Like some of the people I knew before I went to art school, some of the people I didn't, but like then I started getting a little more positive uh, critiques on stuff. You know what I mean?
Sure.
and then joining Silverline, the like not so much the forum, but like the chats that we do, and the streams that we do. That just for me, that's probably been the biggest benefit, was to be able to like open up and talk about my heart, and to get real like insight from people that know what they're doing more than I do, like that have been in the business longer than I do. And yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, when I started, it was a completely different environment. Years ago, um, I did a lot of things where we were just like starting out and stuff with friends. We were doing things like a little mini comic in the comic store kind of newsletter thing that we did. We had some fun with that. And getting out and talking a lot more with people was actually a lot better, I think. um, it's harder now because it seems like there's a lot of it's kind of the person behind the monitor in the desk in the chair, and there's not that visibility, and there's kind of that unfiltered thing. So a lot you get a lot more potential of people that would say something that they normally may not say if they're face to face with you,
Sure.
because it's kind of like they've got an you know anonymity behind the screen thing, and so it wasn't until later that I started to experience more with people that were saying things more bluntly and not constructively, more just to kind of just get throw something out there just to get a reaction and all that. So there was some stuff that was a little harder. There were some stumbling blocks too. When I started doing this and everything, I was really gung ho on it and putting a lot of effort, and then it got some responses back that just seemed like people didn't really care, what kind of message they were getting across. They were just trying to, just throw whatever out there and all that. So, there was some kind of hurtful stuff and things like that just kind of happened through, which did make a kind of an impact in that, and that kind of derailed me for a bit. So.
Yeah.
If you're not
Okay.
ready for someone, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That can definitely like punch you.
Definitely.
Yeah, because it had kind of been the opposite of what I had experienced when I was, dealing with people kind of more face to face. So.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel kind of lucky in that when I finished my college program, comics Twitter was already kind of in full swing. Like I didn't have to worry about bridging the gap from physical to digital. Like, it's kind of like was fully integrated into one ecosystem. But then Elon buys Twitter, and then the community shatters and goes to 15 different social medias. So now I guess I'm a comics blue sky is my main thing now. But yeah, I kind of feel surmounted that even with the being able to interject myself into online conversations and try and build community that way and exchange thoughts back and forth with the creators online. I feel like the most positive experience was actually when Silverline 2.0 came back up and I was brought into that, and immediately we were having these weekly shows to try and build community, but also we're outside of that having messaging groups or creating connections of people who just want to work on comics together, and we'll worry about the financing later on.
Right.
And that's kind of been the most fun because I feel like as a writer, there's nothing more isolating than working on like a manuscript or like a comic script alone for months at a time at a coffee shop, and then cold emailing editors. When you're in an area that doesn't really have too many writing groups. Yeah, I feel like going from that experience to now being able to know that if I write something, there's a very likely chance that I know someone I can send it to, like, hey, do you want to draw this in your off time? Yeah. And then we'll be able to pass notes back and forth, or ideas that people think are cool, or like Kasisi showed me like a Trello board. He's like, here's all these ideas that I have. I'm like, that's fantastic. I love all of these, and I want to write some of them.
Yeah. Very nice.
Kind of leads into our next subject of some of the pornographic stories and staple them together and leave them around random bookshelves at bookstores. When you're first starting out as a writer, that's not too far from what you have to do. You kind of just have to like find wherever you have like an open pin board or community board, or grab a bunch of business cards and just like pin them all on there. Like, we'll edit papers for cheap.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Add the contact info later. Exactly.
So I know that when I was first going to like Wizard World Chicago, right? Because that was in my neighborhood when I was younger. That used to be a thing, right? You would make an ash can, quickly staple it together, bring Kinko's or something, and put your contact information and just blanket, the show floor with like your ash can, and hope that someone sees it, or you don't, or you have it in hand to like say, hey, would you mind looking at my little ash can and tell me what you think and stuff like that, right? Like, would you mind sending me a critique? Like, I don't think I ever got a critique back, but it makes you feel like you progressed forward, right? It makes you feel like you've done something and accomplished something, right? You accomplished a goal. I made a comic, even if it's just like a little 6-page ash can, stapled together in the middle of the night at Kinko's. You feel accomplished that you did something.
Yeah, I feel like there's also something there, just like in building familiarity. Because like when I was submissions editing, you get a couple of batches, and like you would get like the same name would appear different times, and even if the first time you only sent them a form letter, because like sometimes you get stuff that like you're like, there's so much to critique, I'm going to give you a form letter, and then hope you kind of work it out yourself.
Right.
But then you do have that moment of hope where like, oh, I recognize this name. Hopefully, there's something here that I can work with now. Yeah. I feel like, kind of the thing what we always get taught to seek in the community is that constructive feedback, getting like that good criticism, and certainly can get that in writing and illustrating groups. But I find that almost you get the best feedback after you've already kind of worked with someone a little bit, or like are able to develop like more of a friendship with them beforehand, and they're like, hey, I'm gonna break PG here for a little bit. It's like the line I've given to my alpha reader one time's like, hey, tear me a new asshole. We can have that moment there, but I feel like the immediate thing I almost need to be looking for is building a friendship in the same space, like around the shared love of comics, and almost kind of seeking understanding of the emotional support there. Because when you're first starting out in comics, it's very likely that you're going to be kind of riding emotional lows for a little bit, because you're going to get rejection letters. Things aren't going quite the way you want. Maybe not have the best like collaborators. And so being able to talk to people who are at maybe different points of their career, or in some points of their career, and that you can like commiserate with, and they can like, hey, don't worry, it gets better. Everyone cuts their teeth like this. And then usually those people down the line also be giving you some of the best feedback you can get.
I'll tell you, I would, anytime I tried to submit any of my artwork, and back in the day, I did not have the education, the knowledge to say, oh, I should submit sequential pages. I was one of those guys that submitted pinups. You know what I mean? And obviously,
Oh,
no
yeah.
one looks at that, right? I mean, mix a good mix in when you show them sequential and pinups and stuff like that. But like that was not where I was, and I admit that. You know, I recognize that in who I was before I went to school, right?
Mhm.
And yeah, you get told a lot of no's. You know what I mean? Your mother's always going to say she loves your art.
Yep.
So there's one. But count on that one for a little while.
Yeah. Um, I think part of also why I liked having other writers to talk to when I was going through that process of just getting all those no's and getting form letters myself. Was knowing that like they're the only people who get it, but also you have that slight hope of like maybe I can beat this person to the yes, right? that secret sense of like it, like we're not, this is not a competition. We're not trying to make more comics or better comics than anyone else, but you always kind of have that idea of like, you know, maybe I can be the first in the group to like get it.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. But I'll use it the segue into kind of the accountability of things, using your parts of your network to help you stay motivated and on track through deadlines. Because especially in the independent scene, where a lot of us are kind of our own, you know, bosses when it comes to our comic deadlines, there is a lot of creative procrastination that happens. But having friends who are in the space that are like, hey, when's your book coming out? When's this thing getting done? When can I see this? Or even just, you know, if I have a conversation like with Jose, like, hey, I'm feeling like real down in the dumps right now, but I need to get these pages out. Can you check in with me in the week and make sure I've done them?
Right.
Yeah.
It helps. I have a friend who every now and then will call me up, like, hey, have you eaten yet? Like,
Yeah.
no. Come on, let's go. You get out of the house. But you know, you got pages due. You kind of just stay home. Like you shut all the windows down, shut all the blinds down, and just hammer it out as best you can.
Jose, I think you got a question here. Casey wants to know, has the drawing night at your local comic shop helped you get your name out there more than trying to send your stories and pictures on the internet?
So it hasn't so much helped me get my name out there, other than, you know, a few other local artists, you know what I mean, know who I am. And, you know, there's already been talk about collaborating on particular like character and universes and stuff like that, which is pretty cool. But what it's really helped me do is it's helped me to fill my portfolio. As funny as that sounds. But I can sit there and draw whatever, but sometimes I get in my head and I'm like, I don't know what to draw. I want to draw this. Wait, but I want to draw this. I want to draw this, right? And so having a drawing night where we, you know, like pick a theme and we're like, hey, let's draw from this theme. Okay, great. That narrows my brain down to like, this is what I'm gonna draw from this category that we're gonna draw from, right? So it's in that regard, it's helped me to like, you know, put some awesome art in my portfolio. It's helped me to get to know some artists and even some young kids that came that didn't draw. They now draw because they're enjoying it, not just because we're like, oh yeah, we're super awesome famous people. Like I'm not, but they see the enthusiasm that we have, you know, for our work, and they want that same enthusiasm. And instead of coming at us and like, hey, like I drew this as a piece of garbage, and we're like, no, dude, like that's actually pretty legit. Let me like if I can critique you, let me give you a couple ideas, right? And one of the kids even like he moved away like across states and whatnot, and he was still checking in. Hey, like this is what I drew, like on my road trip and whatnot. So like, it definitely has helped like build like friends that I can talk to. When I go to conventions, these guys also table at conventions. So
Yeah.
it's helped me to not just the digital form community, but it's helped me to kind of be a part of the comic book community in my area. You know what I mean? Which before I didn't have that. You know, even growing up, I didn't have that. You know what I mean? If you read comics, you're kind of that person nobody liked. So now it's so like out there, and everybody is all about it. They may not be reading comics, but they know about comics because of like the MCU and the DC's animated universes and stuff like that. So because it made it less, I don't know what the word is, less strange, less, you know what I mean, more commonplace.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's allowed people to like approach me and talk to me about my work. It's allowed people to keep, my name in their head. So funny enough, we actually, one of the guys that came to kind of record us doing it, because we don't really record ourselves doing it, but he really just wanted to like post live on his Instagram and whatnot. We got, I think it was the daughter of Neil Adams was following the feed that we were doing, the live
Nice.
video that we were doing. Yeah, it was pretty awesome. So we all got to say hi and whatnot, just like, give our respect, because it wasn't long after he passed away. So it was pretty cool.
Yeah, very cool. Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like I said, when you're looking at these types of communities and finding a place to kind of fit in and make connections, you have physical spaces, online spaces. Kind of like what Baba Boom had said, you have like these online forums, social media groups. We're going to have like like old school, like message board style discussions about comic books. And those can also be great places for especially things like digital webbing and r/comic collabs on Reddit, which if you're trying to get your comic made, I will proselytize how well moderated the subreddit is. Normally Reddit is like, the dumpster fire and the cesspool at the edge of the universe. but r/comic collabs is so well moderated, and like they've done such a good job with their tags and their search system that it's a really good place to go and find people to actually collaborate with, either find paying gigs or not paid gigs and pitch things back and forth.
Reddit is weird to me. I don't understand it. It doesn't.
Yeah.
Reddit to me is like Vines, and I don't understand that either. Right?
Okay.
I'm not calling myself old when I say that, but I don't understand it.
Mine did die over 10 years ago, so we can just kind of put that one off to the side.
Okay, but it reminds me that image of like the dog sitting inside an inferno of a house, and his comment is just like, "It's fine," right? Reddit to me is the infernoed house.
Yeah, Reddit is weird because it's like if someone just grabbed like 30,000 different websites that should not exist in the same space and then stapled them together.
Right.
Yeah. So pick your subreddits very carefully.
Right.
That's the best advice I can give. Only ones I can recommend are r/cat videos and r/comic book collabs.
We're gonna have a session where Tim just shows me how to use Reddit.
That could get scary. That might have to be my personal Twitch. So you have those online sections. You also have your local comic book shop meetups. Unfortunately, my local shop closed down recently, so I no longer have that benefit here. But if you have a place that does those, absolutely go to those. Fantastic. Conventions, comic expos, which are now interesting for me because now my community for those is almost more cosplay and like prop crafting related.
Yeah.
Because of my time spent in that space.
What?
And then of course, workshops, classes, and private spaces like Discords. If you are going to like a convention or expo or one of these workshops, like chances are you might run into someone who runs a community through a Discord. Some of them are great, some of them are terrible. Unfortunately, you can't really know until you're in it. But those also serve as like great like direct points of communication where you kind of it's like you're walking into a house party with a friend. So the idea is that like everyone there is already kind of like co-signed, and you have like a general vibe of what's going to be happening, but like you hope that everyone else is cool, and then you don't find that
Right.
one friend in the corner who's like a little sketchy. Like, I don't know about that, but
Yeah, see that. Like, hey, Jose, you need to sign into this and this. I was like, listen, I know how to log into Discord. Anything else, you're gonna have to direct me.
yeah, yeah.
I learned how to make a channel. That's what do you expect from me?
All those communities can offer like different things at different levels. And it kind of comes down to you to know what your goal is when you're looking for a community in comic books, right? Do you just want feedback? Do you just want to find a collaborator? Are you just looking for friends? Kind of identifying what you want to do with the space is going to really help. Like, make sure you don't operate in that space like a douchebag, because there are some people who, like, if comics Twitter was a great example. Everyone there was mostly for like social connection. All the good actors were in there just to like share images back and forth, pump people up, get excited, and then like share some of the highs and lows of this industry together. And then you get a few people who will more or less predate on people in that space, and that's how we got a lot of those really crappy Kickstarters where artists didn't get paid, people ran with the money, things like that.
Yeah, I got that. Like for a minute, people were it was a good forum, the Spider forum I was a part of, and for a minute it was good, right? Like I would post stuff up like, hey, just looking for some feedback. You know what I mean? I'm trying to improve myself. But then like you get that one guy, and then that one person freaking just kind of tears you apart, and you're like, well, I mean, you could have worded that a little differently, and then people jump on that, say, oh yeah, da 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 da. And you're like, okay, man, like honestly, I'm just feedback is great. Criticizing is not.
Yeah.
And then, but if you mention that, people tend to get upset. Oh, get out of here, blah blah blah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, pick your community wisely.
Yeah, and know exactly what you're hoping to do. And now if you are one of those people that is just looking to be a butthole to people in the space, with how easy it is now to tie your real name and your identity to your usernames, kind of regardless, like people are going to find out, and that's how you like. Even if you like a short term like emotional gain from tearing someone down, or like a short term monetary gain from ripping off an artist, the rest of the community is now going to hate you.
People are going to know because people will be critical, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you've drawn something that somebody has already drawn, and you're trying to pocket money from said drawing, people are going to know who you took that drawing from.
Mm-hmm.
There's, like I said, the community can be harsh. You know what I mean? The online community. I like so I'm not developing, but like I've definitely made friends via like Instagram, right?
Yeah.
That's been a good one for me in regards to like being able to communicate with other artists, make comments on stuff, or asking like how did you do this? Like how did you get this to look this way? I've tried it and it's not looking crickets, right? And on Instagram, I've gotten a really good feedback on people saying, "Oh, this is how I did that," right? I'm like, "Oh, cool, man, I appreciate that. Thank you." You give them a like, give them a follow, like some of their stuff, and keep on rolling through. But like, I've gotten a better positive result. And I think some people say otherwise, but I've gotten a better positive result on Instagram than probably anything else.
Yeah, Instagram's a really good one too, because your larger people there are also going to be creatively minded or posting creative like stuff because of the problem. I think Kara is Kara. I don't know how to pronounce. Is the new one that just came out. It's essentially it's like Instagram. It's still small, but they have the no AI art policy. So because of that, a lot of artists have started really liking it because of that.
Part of that, I may have signed up for that. I don't know.
There you
go. There's another I do every now and again, Blue something, and I'll post art on that.
I'm on Blue Sky as well. Yeah, and like a lot of spaces. Usually, if you can find spaces where it's going to be a little more kind of, especially when they have like a tailored algorithm like Instagram is, where it's going to be people who are mostly like in that same kind of creative mindset, or that only interact with stuff that like would make sure that your stuff gets fed to them. So usually they're like other comic book art, right? So those can also be good places to just kind of start chatting with people in the comments and hopefully like build connections that way. Being a writer is interesting in that space because normally, for artists, you can share images of what you're working on, and then people share other images, and they'll go like eat back and forth and comment each other's stuff, and then you might open like a message thread. Artists is usually, or writers usually, we're just kind of like posting weird, crappy jokes at each other, just like trying to make each other laugh. Or get involved in scenes related to what we're writing. So like I might like post stuff related to World War II aircraft, like marketing Wolf Hunter or whatever, right? But if you're a writer, you're gonna have an interesting time with that. Well, more so compared to like an artist. Just figure out what actually works. Where are my notes? There they are. Kind of talking about that. I will say, kind of on that same vein, that is important that you kind of interact with that community in good faith, and that you like continue to interact there. Because, like we said earlier, like now, like with how, even though comics kind of grown and still mainstream, it is still very much a niche. And then the creator space within that is even more insular and even more niche down. So, when one person kind of mistreats another creator, you kind of skin like everyone else is kind of like eyes up, perks up, looks at them, is like, "What's happening?" So make sure that you're not being a jerk.
Well, you can give a critique. You can even be critical about something, but choose your words when you do it. You know what I mean? You could say, "Hey, listen, dude, I know that this isn't all just you. Like I've seen your style here, and then I see what you're producing here, and like the range is different, right? We either expanded or I recognize that from someone. If I'm gonna like say something to someone in regards to the form, because I want to try and keep the peace on the platform, right? So like be it Instagram, be it the Spider website. I would love to keep the peace and not start anything. It's not someone getting angry, somebody getting defensive, and then things just get hot. I would private message the person like, "Hey, this is what I'm seeing. If I'm wrong, let me know I'm wrong. But I'd rather bring it to you instead of like trying to bust you out. You know what I mean? Publicly, because that doesn't help anybody. You know what I mean? That tends to be my go-to in a situation like that. But the reason I do that is because there's no reason why that person and I cannot exist in the same group in the same form and still critique on stuff back and forth. Like it's like you said, we're still a niche kind of community. Even if someone's doing something wrong, you should still at least like help them one way or the other. Like, listen, your critique should be helpful. It should be, give them that things that they are doing wrong, give them things that they're doing, good on it. You know what I mean? There should be that alone. I think it like just helps to like form bonds and helps to like just, like I said, uplift that particular community that you're a part of, that that group of creators, because there aren't a whole heap of us. You know what I mean? There aren't that have like made the decision to like, this is what I want to do, and I want to draw instead of eating.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And knowing where to post this, and normally people who post that, like, well, you'll notice like they'll put like a tag or something in the description of what they post, saying like critiques welcome, or like please critique, things like that. Like if we're just giving someone a random unsolicited advice, like maybe like ask first in the comments, like, "Hey, do you mind if I have some years of experience in this? Like, do you want me to like give some tips?" But
that's awesome. Like that's how ideally it should be, and I feel it, and I don't know because I'm not a writer, but I feel that that's how it should be in writing as well. Like I
Mhm.
don't know how cutthroat the writing part of the community is.
It's interesting because you definitely get similar things, but also because of like no one cares if I just post like a page of script to Instagram. But so you usually have to wait until after a product is already out in the world. But you'll still get the odd like comment on Twitter being like or wherever now being like kind of the similar thing where if someone's critiquing your art in a bad way, they're just gonna say like, "Oh, this sucked," or like, "Oh, I didn't like this." Like, great, good for you.
Right.
But every now and then you'll find like another creative or another writer who like, "Hey, like, I noticed that this character's dialogue didn't match the tone that was in the page before. Is there a reason it happened?" Or, "Oh, it's like I felt like this didn't have enough space to breathe." Kind of similarly, like if you're giving like good critique to art, you're not gonna say this sucked. You're gonna say, "Hey, I noticed your lines were a little like weren't as bold as like you've done in other places."
Right.
Yeah.
One of the things I talk about, like several people, is line weight. That's kind of something that was like, I don't want to say beat into us at school, but like very much drilled home that like,
Mhm.
dude, your line weight is what's going to make the images pop and
Mhm.
pull forward, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Sometimes telling people that helps them. Sometimes it doesn't. You know what I mean? And
Yeah, and if you're unsure, you could always kind of phrase things like a question, being like, "Hey, like, I'm used to like different variations of line weight. Was like, did you try to go for like a more like mono weight approach? Is that like intentional?" Yeah, because it's very possible that they are trying to make a thing. They're just not quite well versed in that style yet that they're
right,
aiming for, and then you can like, "Oh, okay, I know what you're doing for." You'll get there. Good luck. um,
right.
Yeah, but it's kind of, and people are going to sniff out if you're kind of approaching with good intention or not. So
See, I think so too, for the most
yeah,
part. Like I think if you come at them like honest, like, hey, this is just take it as you will. You know what I mean?
yeah,
But just a few thoughts I had. You know what I mean? And like, oh, you're not this person. You're not Jim Lee. You're not Scott Williams. Yeah, I know, but I
yeah,
have an eye. You know what I mean? I've been
yeah.
taught a certain way, and I'm not the best, but I can definitely see. You know what I
And
mean?
I think also it
So,
helps if you have your own stuff posted to your page as well, because like I
yeah,
think also it's part of like the reciprocation, right? Where like if people are able to look at your page, like you're just some dude posting stuff to the internet, I'm just some dude posting stuff to the internet. Here's my thoughts as another dude posting stuff to the internet. Feel free to look at my stuff if you want.
right.
Yeah. Uh,
Like that goes a long way. I think before when I was younger, I didn't necessarily have a whole heap online. You know what I mean? In
mhm.
regards to like anything I did. So like in that regard, anytime I had a comment about something, like, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. You don't have anything done. Yeah, but I did read every Wizard magazine that gave you that little lesson in there. Like
Yeah.
Joe Cuban did, and Bart Sears did it. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
several other people. Adam Hughes did it. Like those were pivotal to me. I still have those. Like I may pull them out one day, but they're in my closet.
Well, it's like I have the how Stanley would sign off his soapbox at the end of it. Like when I was talking about stuff, I'm like, I went to the first comic writing class.
Right?
Stanley's soapbox at the end of every issue.
I was
Uh,
there.
yeah. Um, yeah. Uh, Again, if you're a writer, it's gonna be interesting because you don't really have like that own validation, like unless you're posting about your own creative journey,
Yeah.
which I don't really do as much because like I find that like I'm just being honest, no one cares. You get a few people who care who are in the same space, but as far as like growing an audience, people are more interested in seeing what I'm painting or like the memes that I'm working with or whatever. So when people are like, if I post like critiques and like I like this issue, but I thought this needed enough space to breathe, and they pull up my Instagram and the picture of me lifting weights, me painting a miniature, and then tall Kirby because I have a picture of Kirby with tall legs that are hairy
Oh wow.
on my
Nice.
Instagram page. And like I don't know what to do with this. I'm just like I can't help you. trust me, my accreditations are there. They're just never where you look for them.
Yeah, I'm just I follow a lot of what Tones is saying as far as that. With the criticisms and all that, you can always give people good feedback. Just don't. My thing is, I never want to make a negative impact. I don't want to have somebody leaving with a feeling of like, oh, this is horrible. I don't want to do this, or oh, how can I go through that meat grinder, So it's try and put a little bit of constructive criticism on it. At least try and end in a positive note.
Right.
Because there's a lot of potential, and sometimes people aren't tapping a lot of the potential that they have. And it's like, hey, maybe go this direction or that direction, and then that'll help them go in that. Because ultimately, I know like you guys are talking about, you've got a lot of experience, you've seen a lot of things, you've studied a lot of the art, and all that stuff. But ultimately, it's you're extending your opinion based off of what you've learned. And all you can do is offer your opinion and go that direction, and just not come across as somebody that knows it all or all this stuff, because we're all learning, and how can we know it all if we're still learning? So
and that's something like I try to like post about or whatever in my own communities or talk about in my communities. Like whenever I learn something new that's interesting or whatever, like I like find some other advice online that I find helps me, is like, hey, this is dope, other people check it out, because then you're extending your community out to whatever this creator is that you may not even know you exist, but now all of a sudden people are like interacting with their stuff that interact with you, and hopefully you're extending that community in a positive way in kind of both directions.
absolutely.
Okay. And kind of our last leg here, something that is probably won't happen in your first couple stages in your comic career, but might happen later on. And this are just really dedicated to the craft. And it also may look in different things. Is how you can go about building your own community. Which, like I said, my local comic book store closed down, and we didn't really have spaces like we have like traditional art groups, but not really anything for the weird eclectic collection of people who paint 3D art, do digital and comics and all this other stuff that like kind of is in my social circle. So we've created our own community through a Discord online, and also it kind of extends beyond state lines, which is fun.
Right.
But you can do this in like in persons. Do like a Sunday brunch club, just find a bunch of other comic creators. We're like, all right, Starbucks Sunday 9 a.m. Where's riding? Which I've also done, but we found that just having a Discord open where we can all like throw art at each other and give each other heart reactions is nice.
Exactly.
And so part of that is going to look like virtual meetups or workshops, kind of trading things, almost like that Q&A where you're free to ask questions whenever someone talks about stuff like, oh, that's a word technique, like how'd you do that, or blah blah blah.
Right.
And of course, there is kind of like the business side of that, is that we can all kind of help each other. Like whenever someone is pushing a Kickstarter, pushing something like that, we can all post it and then immediately flock our audiences to it. But you could build it from scratch like I can, or you can kind of integrate yourself into existing community and help grow it. And it kind of sounds like, Jose, you kind of did that with part of like your comic book groups, where like you kind of also started taking on more of like a role of being the wizened veteran at sometimes.
Some days I feel like it. Some days I listen. I'm new. I may be old, but I'm new. I mean, I took the idea of going to art school, and in my head, I'm like, listen, I obviously don't know everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I went there like, listen, break me down and build me back up. I don't care. Tell me everything. You know what I mean? I will soak it all in. I know I'm not doing things right, and like, help me out. And like there are techniques I learned. There's like like inking techniques that I've learned that I didn't really consider, and then there's some that I was already using and didn't even know how to name. You know what I mean? And so, but like even when it comes to like the forum you're a part of, thanks, Casey. But he said, even he threw me off. Wow. Even doesn't matter how much you know, like any forum you're a part of, you're going to help and ideally don't hinder. You know what I mean? And in hopes that some of the people that you meet on there are gonna help you as well. You know what I mean? We're supposed to be a community, right? We're supposed to ideally help, like, bring each other up. My comic shop likes to use, like to use the phrase, I eat, you eat. You know what I mean? And I think that is like, profound when it comes to like comic creators. That's why, us like Silverline people get together and we're doing stuff together. You know what I mean? Silverline eats, we eat. You know what I mean? Vice versa.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? We're helping each other out. We're trying to like, uplift, put our own books out, to do stuff together. You know what I mean? And I for one appreciate that. I for one love that I'm appreciated here. And so, like I said before, or the beginning of the stream, this has probably been the best experience I've ever had when it comes to like community. You know what I mean? Helping each other out and uplifting each other, and just being there to like just to push us to strive harder. And you know what I mean, in our craft, in what we do. So that's my take.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah. Well, that is. Yeah, we hit all the bullet points I've had for today. Well done, team.
Right?
Yeah. So I guess I'll open up the floor to you guys. Do you have any other thoughts on community, or any questions or things you want to explore with the rest of our time here?
Tim,
Yes.
I know you said you have people that you talk to, people that you formed your own like Discord community for stuff and whatnot. Um, how many people do you let into that? Like, or do you try and keep your group small, or are you like, hey, someone else like wants to join us and whatnot? Feel free to do so.
It's
Like
pretty
how?
open. Yeah. The only requirements are that you make something and that you don't be a jerk, pretty much. So right now it has about 15 people in it, most of whom are in Oregon. But also a few people out to like New York, and then a few people also in Florida. Is kind of places I've been. But yeah, for the most part, it's still relatively small, but larger than any in-person writing group I've been in, and it's still kind of open invite. As long as you know someone in the group, you're pretty much good to join.
Okay.
Yeah. And the idea is that the more people can get kind of interacting and sharing stuff, the more it's going to encourage other people to do so as well. And then that's just going to spend more time just trying to elevate each other is the goal. And if someone is not elevating other people, then they get timed out or removed from the server.
Right.
There you go.
Yeah.
I was just interested. I know we like the drawing group I have. Like we've had an influx of like new people, and this is again not a digital forum group, but like physical group. And
Mhm.
we've had an influx of people like that, come and gone and whatnot. But I have a guy that comes there and he brings his daughter and his son and whatnot, and they'll come and sit and draw. And like some of the stuff they put out is pretty awesome. Like, and just the idea that we are not just lifting each other up, not just lifting, helping us, like, comic book creators and whatnot, but we're helping to encourage like younger kids to get involved in doing art, and not feel like you're getting looked down upon or like criticized for what you're doing. Like like, oh dude, that looks really awesome. Like where'd you come up with that idea, or like blah blah blah, and just like I like the idea of new people coming in. You know what I mean? To
Mhm.
not, like I said, not that I'm anybody important, but I really appreciate talking about, you know what I mean, what I do and how I do it, and you know what I mean. If that helps somebody, awesome. You know what I mean? Like I'm all for sharing the wealth. I'm all for sharing the knowledge. You know, with
Yeah.
anybody that asks.
Yeah, it's one of those things where like uh, people can generally tell, like, we all got into this because like we love it, like our chosen medium, our chosen like style of doing things, and so like of course we want to talk about it as much as we can. We love to talk about other people, either stuff we learned or learning stuff from them. So the more people we can get in any sort of creative space, the more we're gonna want to like talk about things, because it's just fun just talking about it.
Right. It's enjoyable. Like, and I actually never felt that way, only because I was very standoffish in
Hmm.
wanting to talk about anything that I do. Like I said, when I was younger, I was told like my art sucked and that I should never draw. So I had the logic that I don't know what I'm talking about. People don't want to hear what I have to say, right? But then I realized that like conventions and stuff like that, I really do enjoy talking about my process. When people are like, "Oh, how did you do this?" Well, let me tell you how I did that. It's real easy. Check this out, right?
Yeah.
And I, I, I start to go away from talking about the product I'm trying to get them to buy, to spending like 30 minutes talking about how I added spatter over my ink wash and whatnot. You know what I mean? To create a particular effect. So it, I think selling product, it's great, right? And if you can push that onto, your different forums and communities, like, hey guys, like if you will support me, I'll support you. Let's comment trade, let's something, right? Let's do an
Hmm.
art trade, let's do an art swap. Um, and that's great, but like, man, if I can help somebody that, you know what I mean, that is in a bind, or like kind of has hit a block where like I don't know how to get past or over this, and I'm like, let me give you a couple ideas. You know what I mean? Maybe this will help, maybe it won't, but at least try everything. You know what I mean? But like I like being able to do that even on a forum. Like I said, I haven't been on a digital forum in a while, other than Silverline stuff. But that was always interesting to me to be able to pass that knowledge, pass that like advice and wisdom on the way it was passed on to me when I was younger. You know, I just think it's fun. It's enjoyable.
Yeah. Okay. David,
Thank
did you
you.
have any thoughts or anything you want to talk about?
No, I don't think I can follow Jose.
Okay.
He hit a lot of stuff on the head there. Right? Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Casey says, my process 1, I had an idea. 2, I started with a piece of paper for 6 hours. 3, I drew this and don't remember my good idea. Yeah, that's, yep. A lot of, yeah.
I have a lot of scrap paper where all I did was just, I want to draw this. Like I said, I want to draw this. I want to draw this. I want to draw this. You know what? Circles.
Mhm.
Circles, and then circle turns into a bigger circle, and then legs, and then, oh, this is garbage. Flip it over, keep going.
Yeah,
What did you say, Tim? You gotta get a bunch of garbage out before the good stuff starts coming out.
exactly. You get the garbage out, let the fresh stuff in. That's, I mean, kind of same thing like when you're writing. Sometimes you sit down to write and you're like, oh, this is absolute dog water. So you just like smash out whatever you can on a page, delete it, and then start writing again.
Yeah, I have several papers
This is your
of,
friend.
right? I have several, like
Yeah.
several different. I've got kneaded eraser. I got a soft kneaded eraser. I got eraser pins.
Oh yeah.
They all have names and they're all helpful.
No. Yeah. I'm gonna find like, I don't know if like, because there are definitely days where you don't need to warm up, right? You can just sit down, like, you know exactly what you're going to do, and you just someone has to execute on it. But I feel like especially if you're like trying to make this a career where you're going to be doing a lot of sitting down to draw or write in days where you don't necessarily feel it, there's going to be moments where like I just need to get something on paper to know that I can still get something on paper.
And for the love of Moses, do not get on TikTok.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You will start off in the morning and it'll be 4 o'clock. You're like, oh man, I didn't get nothing done.
There goes the day. Yeah.
Yeah, those reels and things will suck you in. That's for sure.
Right? And some of them are great. Some of them are creative, and some of them are funny. And you want to keep scrolling to the next one.
Yeah.
That is not the community you should be able to be a part of.
Yeah, no, there's a while where my TikTok feed was all like comic stuff and writing stuff, and it's great because I just feel super jammed actually after like, I'd watch one or two and like, oh, I felt like I want to go and create something cool now. But now my TikTok feed is all golf related stuff. So now I just scroll for a couple of hours. I'm like, I just want to go play golf.
That's a little counterproductive.
Yeah.
I think my friend jinxed me on when it came to my feed because I don't know why, but all of a sudden I started getting disc golf things on my thing. I'm like, why? Like, I don't even play. Like my friend plays, and why? He's hijacked me. That's all I can think of.
Yeah. The next thing you know, you order like a 12-pack of like things from the TikTok shop, and you got like a bunch of kit jumping. Yeah. No, it happened to me today. I was doing my post-work poop, right? Where you get home for the day, you just kind of let the stress out. Open the TikTok shop, and it's just an ad for a golf range finder that I've been seeing ads for the last 3 days. So I'm like, all right, fine, I'll get it, I guess.
They're both the same thing to me.
Yeah. I mean, it really is, but I think the main thing is that TikTok knew when to innovate, whereas Vine was kind of the same thing its entire lifespan, where TikTok just kind of added new features piecemeal. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. TikTok is not my friend. Like, I don't follow TikTok. I'm not part of TikTok. TikTok and I are not friend like each other.
Great for advertising art though, and if you like know how to set things right, it's one of those things where like you can just throw $100 at it and get $10,000 worth of results from traditional marketing.
Right. No, and there are people that do use it. You know what I mean? To promote their stuff, right? And they are evidently good at that. Remember what I said about Vines and Reddit? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not very good at that either. So I'm there.
That's all right. That's what I'm here
for. I got such high hopes when I went to Infinity Toy Comic Convention, and I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna videotape myself, like setting up and videotape myself. Oh, hey, look at guys, I'm at this." Never did it. Didn't even think twice about not wanting to do it. Just didn't do it. Like one of these days, I might remember. One of these days, I might have Roland do it for me, but.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where, like, this is gonna be general advice for all like people wanting to get into comics. It's really easy to overthink your marketing when it comes to comics, or to like overthink your content creation. I mean, it's kind of the same thing where when you sit down to write your comic or to do your art, you shouldn't be thinking about I have to do this, this, and this, or make sure like I have the most market appeal with my thing. It's the same thing with advertising. Like if you have a good idea and then you just this is how I want to find out about it. Like you write something because that's the comic you want to read. And like, well, this is how I want to have a comic pitched to me. But say, do that. Or just do something like just talking to a camera about what you think is cool and we think other people might think is cool. There are a couple accounts that I follow that are just kind of old men giving profound advice. Like Alan Watts style, directly to the camera. There's no editing. It's just a guy with the camera a little too close.
That sounds like my people, man. What are you talking
about? We are kind of at the tail end of our show here, but yeah, we're talking about the process of why you'd want to find a community for comic books, the benefits thereof, and how you can integrate yourself into that space, whether it's on physical or social media. Of course, Silverline Comics here, we do have our own community where we do 3 shows a week where we talk about the process of creating comics and ask questions, all that fun stuff. So feel
we
free to
have
stick
a
around for.
Facebook-specific,
Yeah.
community group as well. We have a Facebook specific group as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like for people that go on there and like want to ask questions about Silverline or just anything Silverline related.
Yeah.
We try to answer questions as best we can.
So feel free to subscribe, comment, stick around. Once this stream ends in about 10 to 20 minutes or so, it'll be up as a video on demand immediately, so you can scroll back to the beginning and get all that stuff. And also, we'll be back next week. We've got some shows on Wednesday and Sunday. I don't have TikTok either. Too many unashamed people flaunting and bouncing. No comments on this. That's fair. I mean, I'm not gonna be. I do follow my fair amount of thirst traps. That's just if you're into it, you're into it.
Right. It's okay, Casey. No judgment.
Yeah. Although I have hit the point where now I have crossed into the combination of golf meets thirst trap. So it's a very it's a very particular brand, but I'm here for it.
You're right. You're on that ride now.
Yep. This is the For You page that I built, and I'll stand by it.
Like I have kids, so the majority of stuff that comes through my feeds and stuff is Gravity Falls, cat pictures and videos and whatnot, and that monkey video where it says a picture of you or a video of you going to school and stuff like that. I send those to my daughter all the time without fail. If it comes on my Instagram, I'm sending it to her.
Yeah, I mean, if you come over to Oregon at any point, Jose, you'll be surprised how much like Gravity Falls it is. Yeah. Yes, the comics in the background are comics that we have all either worked on or have associated to because they're through the same publisher.
Right?
So,
Tim worked
yeah.
on that one.
Yeah.
And I worked on that one. No, it's back to back.
So yeah, and got some. Do we have any covers from David on here yet, or no? I don't think we do.
No.
Yeah.
Dave's hiding them.
I know.
Yeah.
Just bombard us with them. It's going to be awesome.
Exactly. Yeah. Let's see. I'm trying to see now. Do we have?
Like Wolf Hunter's right there by your head.
Yeah, Wolf Hunter's right next to my head. You have Trump's over there.
Right.
I mean, we have Champion and Miss Fury. We don't have. We'll just
There's Obsolete right there by Dave's head. I worked on that.
Right there.
Yeah.
Right
Yeah.
there.
Good job, Dave.
Uh,
We're gonna go back and watch this video and be like, we are goons.
Yes. Dave also, did some work on. Now I'm blanking on it. Because you're drawing Demon. Was that Demon in his own thing, or is that Demon in?
It's Demon in his own Demon Tales book.
Right, which is connected to the Cat and Mouse and Champion verse.
Correct.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we have stuff that's in the same multiverse as David.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Most of the stuff on that is all interior pages and stuff. So that's pretty much interior there. I see over here Trump's, but that's the first series and not the one that I did. It's covered up by my name right now. It's
there,
yeah, over there. That's the first series, though.
There's one Kayla's cover. I know you did a Kayla's cover too.
Yeah.
Is it up on here yet?
No.
So,
I don't know.
yeah. Well,
I'm like over here.
we're all just trying to point to our credits on the. I did do some of the marketing editing for the Switchblade Redux.
Okay.
Yeah.
Super cool, man. But yeah, the background is books that not only us but the rest of Silverline Comics community, like our creators and whatnot, have worked on as a whole, and it's quite a bit. And I, for one, would say we're pretty proud of it.
Yeah. If there's your first time here, some brief history. Silverline is, we haven't really talked about this on the show in a while, so I guess we'll make it a topic. But Silverline is a small art house collective, so it's not quite like a small house publisher, but it's somewhere that it's a bunch of not necessarily related projects, but all things that get put through a small print shop, distributed through that. We do everything first pre-funded, and then later goes through Diamond distribution to your mom and pop comic shops now that were in Diamond.
Comic shops worldwide.
Yeah, we were born out of the death and rebirth of Malibu Comics, which was a Marvel imprint famous for the Ultraverse, and that's breaking edge coloring techniques and a really wild non-canon Mortal Kombat series.
I remember that.
Yeah. So, yeah.
We have like epic music when you give the history of stuff like.
Yeah, right. Your own version of like the Avengers motif.
Right?
It's slightly, but it's Ultraverse, so it's just slightly off key.
Civilized version of in the world.
Yeah.
We need to make that happen, Tim. Call your people.
I mean, I could probably just like whip something up in like mixology or Ableton, but
Right.
I'll be real crappy.
DJ posted some sweet pictures of Roland. I'm just want to put that out there.
Oh yeah,
You see him? I never knew Roland was in a band. It was awesome.
yeah. That's actually one of the first things Roll I connected on was talking about music and stuff because we were both in the metal and I played bass.
That's awesome.
No, and then we got talking about BattleTech, and I was like, "Oh crap! I wrote the comics in that were put out." I'm like, "Really?" He's like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "Damn! All right." So we started getting distracted on a bunch of different stuff. So everyone else in the past is like, "Can you guys stop?" That was good.
Yeah, I never had that ability to be in the class or deal with that.
Yeah, I mean,
interesting.
I'm sure I could figure out a way for you to audit the class if you wanted to. Okay. This has been a show on Tuesday. I'm going to grab our topic for next week. Nope, that's my...
That's his dinner menu, just so you know.
Right, yeah.
That's his meal.
Okay. Oh, that's going to be... Yeah. Next week, we're going to be talking about mental health. So how comics can help cope with mental health. We're getting real serious.
Right? Man, for the record, comics can give you mental health too. More on that next week.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm also talking about like how do you manage your mental health when you're working in comics, but yeah, hopefully we talk about the positives and how you can use comics as a form of creative escapism. Yeah.
Welcome to Silverline. Pull up a couch. We're here to help.
Yeah. I don't know if I messaged Roland yet, but actually I wanted to have Roland on for that one because that's also something we've talked about a bit.
That's cool.
Yeah. So I'll message him and see if he can come in next week. So be sure to check out that next week. Also check out the Wednesday Wham and Silver Sunday cruise on those respective days, 8 p.m. Eastern time. We'll be back 8 p.m. Pacific time on Tuesday. And I don't believe we have any other housekeeping. So until that time, make mine a Silverline.
Make mine Silverline.
Hey, I'm G-Rod. Make mine Silverline.